In the headlines, Economic Community of West African States directs defense chiefs to activate and send standby force to Niger as junta threatens to kill Bazoum over planned military intervention. Troops ambush terrorists, neutralize 2 as notorious Boko Haram terrorist surrenders. Police rescue 9 children from cult initiation in Lagos State. And away from Nigeria, 5 people dead, 40,000 evacuated as monsoon floods hit Myanmar. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you for joining us. Now the details. The decision of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to deploy troops to Niger should not be seen as the regional body moving against a country or as a decision of an individual member nation. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Omar Aliyu Toure, says it should rather be seen as a resolve of West African leaders to uphold agreements all members countries have signed to it. Kende Amodu reports.
By directing its Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff to activate its standby force and deploy to Niger, ECOWAS has not declared war on its member state. The president of the ECOWAS Commission explains that the option of peace remains very much on the table.
ECOWAS has been engaged in peaceful and diplomatic efforts to effect the restoration of constitutional order in Niger, and the communique has made it very clear the authority has kept that window open.
But it seems the consensus among West African leaders is that the military junta in Niger should be eased out.
We do not accept, we will not accept coup d'etats. And I think these putschists must go. If I don't let Bazoum out to be able to exercise his mandate, I think we should move ahead and get them out. Bazoum is a democratically elected president. He should be freed. He should be able to exercise his mandate freely.
The ECOWAS decision is also not being driven by a single country, but is a collective agenda of leaders of the regional bloc.
So this is a regional initiative. It's not an individual country going after another country or a community going after, or the community going against citizens of the community. Nigerians are ECOWAS citizens, and I think it is important we all recall that before the attempted coup, nobody imposed sanctions on Niger.
I want to insist, this is not a Nigerian affair. It's an affair of ECOWAS. ECOWAS is nearly 400 million people, 240 million in Nigeria, 140 million in the West African Monetary Union. So this is 400 million people. If we don't have democracy, do you think that our countries will be able to move ahead? This coup d'etat is not acceptable. We should put an end to it.
The outcome of the extraordinary summit in Abuja has sent reverberations across the region. All eyes are on ECOWAS to see if it will follow the path of diplomacy and peace, or if, at the last resort, it will be forced to roll out the tanks. From the federal capital, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
The Niger junta has threatened to kill ousted President Mohamed Bazoum if neighboring countries attempt any military intervention to reinstate him. According to a report by the Association Press on Thursday, 2 Western officials said the putschist issued the threat while speaking to a top U.S. diplomat. Now, this came shortly before the Economic Community of West African States, the ECOWAS, said it had directed the deployment of a standby force to restore democracy in Niger after its deadline of Sunday to restore Bazoum's government expired. The threat to the deposed president raises the stakes both for ECOWAS and for the junta, which has shown its willingness to escalate its actions since it seized power on July 26th. Niger was seen as the last country in the Sahel region south of the Sahara Desert that Western nations could partner with to counter jihadi violence linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group that has killed thousands and displaced millions of people. Meanwhile, the African Union on Friday expressed deep concerns at the reported poor conditions of Niger President Mohamed Bazoum's detention, calling his treatment at the hands of the coup leaders unacceptable. AU Commission head Musa Faki Mahamat, in a statement, said such treatment of a democratically elected president through a regular electoral process is unacceptable. Right now, Dr. Bashir Kofi, an academic in the area of economic integration, ABU Zaria, joins us via Zoom to discuss Niger coup. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us. Now, prominent Nigerians and organizations have kicked against military actions in Niger. When ECOWAS is weighing all the options, to resolve the crisis, will you recommend, diplomacy and dialogue?
Well, thank you very much for having me. First of all, one of the fundamental responsibility of brotherhood within the context of even global relationship is protection of lives and property of citizens of sister states. In the case of Niger, you see, when you look historically, where you even have these border conflicts in Africa, Niger and Nigeria, time immemorial, we never had any conflict among ourselves. So now even to contemplate that Nigeria will go and attack Niger within the direction of the Americans and the French establishment, because everybody knows this is not the Nigerian thinking. It's the thinking of the Americans and the French and other European allies who loot out the resources of Niger. But in any case, the thing in Nigeria, it looks very ridiculous because during this process of this crisis, like every Nigerian become a diplomat. This diplomacy is a profession. It's also a calling. So Tinubu, as the president of Nigeria, he needs to gather this expert in the area of international relations, which we have abundant of them. You have quality people who speak to the media, people like Joe Keshi, Ambassador Dahiru, and you have so many younger elements who have gone to many parts of the world as diplomats, who serve even in countries like Niger, like Algeria, like Morocco, and all these countries bordering with Niger. So you need to talk to these people to go and make diplomacy is not a business of some traditional institution or some religious leaders going from one place to another. No, if they are doing that, they have to be guided by the diplomatic corps, that they can be able to put one-on-one so that they have access to discuss these issues.
Now,
but under no circumstance, and I think it would be suicidal for even Nigeria to contemplate that. They may be deceived by the Americans that they can do some assistance or not. Because the fact we know the reality, and too well I'm involved in this banditry thing at a community level. Most of these military formations in the fight of insurgency,
and what you're saying, I hope you're with me.
Many of them cannot even foil their vehicles. They have to be assisted by state government and community people.
All right, Doctor.
So how would they now go to Niger?
That
about
this
10,
ECOWAS, decision
10
to
hours.
attack Niger should happen, then it would cause a lot of chaos, to the Nigeria, because Nigerian borders will now be open and it would make people to just easily enter Nigeria. And we're talking about, all the other security or insecurity groups that have issues with Nigeria, considering that, it has been linked that people in Libya, after the crisis that happened in Libya, President Muhammadu Buhari, or former president, I beg your pardon, Muhammadu Buhari, actually mentioned that it was one of the things that affected the insecurity in Nigeria. So do you think if something like that should be pushed also to the Niger Republic, that could also happen, increasing the insecurity in the country?
You see, when you go to these borders, for example, you go to Katsina border, the major players in the insurgency, people like Dankarami, Dangote, Audu Lankai, and all these bandits, quite a number of them have direct connection with some of the bandits inside Niger. And also some Nigerian gendarmes, the police of Niger, if an attack happens in Nigerian border, they gave their phone numbers to most of the Nigerians that you call them, they will come and operate, rescue you, and go back to their country. Now, by the time you go into this conflict with them, one, Niger is the blockade for proliferation of arms into Nigeria by Boko Haram. And mind you also, there is an act, they have active platform for Islamic Jihad, for Al-Qaeda, for ISWAP, and other Islamic movements. So now by the time you are fighting them, then they will not be tight in their border how they used to. And might you also, we have so many Nigerians, which I have seen in Niger, so many Nigerians, refugees, stay in Niger. So now what happens? They will come back to Nigeria. And then you will not have that cooperation. But fundamentally, we have to see what are the organic things. When people talk of democracy, it's not just mere of voting. No, but you have to have responsibility also to work based on the authority of people. Most of these are also called democratic something. The goal is not democracy of the people, by the people, for the people. It's the democracy is you buy the people. You steal public funds and go and spend it and make a win election. You are for the people. You are not for the people. You are far away from it because you have a different life. I was hearing today in Nigerian television that someone senator is saying that what is a big deal? 2 million is patents. You give them bribe to go and enjoy their vacation.
Okay, doctor.
So you see,
I can hit on another point right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Porsches in Niger are enjoying, the support of the citizens who are tired of the whole overbearing external influence, from the French neo-colonial people. So right now, what would you support between, restoring democracy or sacking French neo-colonial imperialism, in Niger through the military? What would you recommend?
No, you see, you have to see what creates a problem. Niger people, today, just like Nigerians, they can hardly eat. If you go to their villages, people are living on leaves. A lot of the crisis of their children is they are suffering from dehydration, which means they don't have enough water even to drink. So if you don't have enough water to drink, what happened to hygiene? And then when you enter today, airport of Niger, those who screen you in or out of it are the French and the Americans, because they are the one who control the airport and they control their resources. And now this thing happened, this crisis, and Nigerian government betray. I am a teacher of international business. So now they betray the concept of international trade. You have a treaty, an agreement that you will be supplying Mr. A or B with certain kind of products. And then all of a sudden, because of that, and they have to know, the ECOWAS is not, it's not a political organization.
is an economic integration system which you encourage intra-African relation, intra-African trade. Because you find that maybe Nigeria do more trade with China than maybe with Niger. While you have all those, this is what we are supposed to something. I have gone to all these countries by road. My PhD is on economic integration in the West Africa. But you see, people don't even look for experts. Some people will sit there, yeah, and then.
All right, now moving on to security matters. The Nigerian Army says troops of Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hatlem Kai have killed 2 suspected Boko Haram terrorists crossing point along Kuka in Konduga local government area of Borno State. Director Army Public Relations Brigadier General Onyema Nwachuku in a statement on Friday said the troops recovered 63 rounds of 12.7 mm ammunition, 1 improvised explosive device shell, among others. He added that due to the aggressive operations of troops against Boko Haram terrorist enclaves, a terrorist or a notorious terrorist surrendered to troops of 222 Battalion of Gezua Konduga local government area. He said items recovered from the suspect include 1 AK-47 rifle, 1 magazine, and 26 rounds of 7.62 mm special ammunition, adding that the suspect is currently undergoing profiling for further necessary actions. Police in Enugu on Thursday neutralized 3 gunmen while others escaped with severe bullet wounds after a gun duel with hoodlums in Imofu community of Igboezi, North Local Government Area of Enugu State. The State Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Daniel Undukwe, disclosed this in a statement on Friday in Enugu. He said that items recovered from the hoodlums include 4 pump-action guns, 1 locally fabricated revolver gun and pistol, each with 67 live cartridges, military camouflage uniforms, suspected fabrics of the IPOB insignia, objects suspected to be amulets, and others. The police spokesman noted that the State Commissioner of Police, Ahmed Amani, had reaffirmed the unwavering commitment of the police to weed out unrepentant criminals in the state. Now, meanwhile, the Lagos State Police Command has rescued 9 children aged between 9 and 14 who were about to be initiated into a cult group. The state's police public relations officer Benjamin Hundeyin, who confirmed the rescue in a statement on Thursday, highlighted the disturbing details surrounding the children's ordeal. According to Hundeyin, the children whose identities have been withheld for their safety were discovered during or after the initiation process. He added that incisions were found below the children's lower lips, which indicated their compelled participation in the cult activities. Hundeyin, however, did not provide any further specific information regarding the operations itself, but confirmed that an investigation is ongoing into the matter. You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up, Gombe residents lament hike in price of prescription drugs. This and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Update on Trust TV. And here is a recap of our top stories. Robochu Economic Community of West African States directs defense chiefs to activate and spend standby force to Niger as junta threatens to kill Bazoum over planned military intervention. And troops ambush terrorists neutralized to as notorious Boko Haram terrorist surrenders. Now moving on to more stories, the Borno State Governor Umaru Zulum has assured that all security challenges will be eliminated before the end of his second term. He stated this during the official inauguration of his cabinet and other political appointments at the government house in Maiduguri. The state government said that it will continue to focus on health, agriculture, urbanization of Maiduguri, address flooding, and provide more palliatives to the vulnerable to cushion the effects of economic hardship faced in the state. The governor swore in 17 commissioners, 3 advisors, and a permanent secretary.
Professor Usmani Tar, congratulations.
All the promises that have been made to the good people of Borno State, inshallah, shall be fulfilled. We shall ensure potable water supply within metropolitan and all other local government areas. Ensure that we provide the needed manpower required at our primary healthcare centers and our hospitals. Ensure that we have availability of drugs and consumables in our hospitals and primary healthcare centers, inshallah. Address the annual flooding problems in our state. Ensure agricultural development, and ensure that palliative is being given to the less privileged in the state. Government will very soon procure more buses in order to alleviate the sufferings of the people as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy. Very soon we shall procure more buses, and civil servants will also be supported.
Now on health matter, residents of Gombe State say they are battling soaring prices of prescription drugs in medicine stores amidst the rising cost of living in the country. Some families who spoke to Trust TV say they can no longer afford medications and other consumables for their loved ones in the hospitals due to the skyrocketing prices. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Abdullahi Usman, who has been working to fund medical bills of his dependent, reached a nearby store to buy medicines prescribed for the patient, but could not do so due to soaring prices. I came to buy drugs, which cost 3,300 naira, but I couldn't afford the price. I reduced the drugs to meet my budget of 2,000 naira. We are struggling to eat. We have been here for almost a month. Drugs are expensive. A syringe sold 20 naira before now cost 50 naira. Drugs that used to be 1,000 naira is now 1,400 or 1,500 naira. Due to the current economic hardship in the country, many Nigerians are already struggling to put food on the table. This is now worsened by their inability to afford some over-the-counter drugs for the sick relatives.
Or something of their belongings, you can give them drugs. After treatment, they will bring back, they will get the money and bring it for us. And sometimes you have to buy just the one that they can afford and start using it for the meantime.
Those who could not afford doctor's prescription are settling for cheaper drugs despite the consequences involved.
And when you see patients cutting down the number or the frequency of drugs, ultimately the desired effect will not be achieved. So it means it's more of wasting money and it will cause a lot of problems. If it's antibiotic, there will be what we call resistance. There should be a deliberate effort by government and at the same time non-governmental organizations and philanthropists to subsidize the drugs, if at all we want the people and the masses to get the right drug for the right ailment. Because at the moment, drug is very expensive because what determines the price is demand and supply.
Since the beginning of the year, Nigerians have survived tough times, from the scarcity of the redesigned Naira notes to the current hardship caused by the removal of fuel subsidy. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Away from Nigeria, officials in Myanmar on Friday said floods and landslide caused by monsoon rains have killed 5 people and forced the evacuation of around 40,000 others. Footage from Rakhine State, which was ravaged in May by Cyclone Mocha, showed large areas of villages and farmland submerged by murky yellow-brown waters. 5 people have been killed, Lee Shui-zin-o, director of Myanmar's Social Welfare Relief and Resettlement Ministry, told AFP. Around 37,000 people have been evacuated already around Myanmar, she added, with the figure set to rise above 40,000 on Friday. Flooding began in late July and has affected 9 of the country's states and regions, including Rakhine, Kachin, Karen, Mon, and Chin. And finally, in sports, Cameroon Football Federation president and former star player Samuel Eto'o is being investigated by the Federation of African Football for alleged improper misconduct. Eto'o, reigning as boss of the Cameroonian Football Federation, has been marred with controversies, with some members of the association calling for his resignation. CAF has received written statements from several Cameroonian football stakeholders to look into and investigate certain alleged improper conduct by Samuel Eto'o, who is president of the Fédération Camerounaise de Football. CAF is looking into this request based on and in accordance with the CAF statutes and regulations. Whilst the allegations are prima facie serious, Samuel Eto'o is presumed to be innocent until an appropriate judicial body concludes otherwise. The statement added that CAF will make no further announcement while the investigations are ongoing and will only make public statements when the proceedings have come to an end. And with that, we wrap up News Update on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms, and you can join our YouTube Live for more news, documentaries, and more programs. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you for joining us.